Kam Chetty, who's the advisor to the minister at DHS, which is Department of Human Settlements. Okay, if you can come to that. Let's give him a big hand.
But firstly, I think the second woman, powerful woman that was going to speak here was my minister, Minister Nomaindia Mfeketu. And she apologizes because she's been called to address another problem and crisis that's, you know, confronting us today. So look, this minister is enormously hardworking, but she I think there are 3 Ps that she, you know, keeps up to. The first one is a commitment to people and their problems and addressing the challenges. The second one is the passion by which she wants to lead. And the third one is the professionalism around that. So firstly, my apologies, but those 3 characteristics come out very, very clearly from the minister. And she's been leading the department and trying to transform the department to address things in that particular way. Secondly, I just wanted to say congratulations to the new leadership. I think you, from what I've heard now, you're very inspirational, and you're going to create a new euphoria, whatever name you're going to give that euphoria. So that's critical for me. So let me start by saying, what is the sector that we're involved in? The sector that we're involved in is in setting up human settlements, which includes, you know, the built environment, housing, and all of the facilities that go together with housing, including the underground infrastructure and the overland infrastructure as well. Partly the transformation in this area is the move from housing to human settlements was to provide not dormitory housing, but settlements which will help people to grow. And in that instance, and I'll talk about it just now, the department has come up with a whole range of new initiatives that unlock a range of opportunities. And in order for us to unlock that opportunities, we need partners. And one of the critical partners are yourselves. Right. But we want to go beyond just calling ourselves partners. Let's give meaning and content to it. So this particular sector grew over 1,300% since democracy. So there's been significant growth. But at the same time, while there was that growth, you heard about the anomaly earlier. So the anomaly is that you're having growth, but at the same time, we didn't get enough transformation, and the industry is struggling at the moment. And that's the anomaly that we have to deal with. And it's a kind of counter-logic economics, in the sense that if you're having 1,300% growth since 1994, you should have had substantial transformation, A, and you should have significant restructuring and growth of the sector. But we're not seeing that. And we need to ask the real honest questions about why we're answering that. And you know, we did a 20-year review. And just in 2014, the sector was 237 billion rands. That was estimated. So it's not small. And even 10% of that total addressable market will be a significant amount for black businesses. But have we achieved that? You know, sadly, we're going to say no, we haven't achieved that. And I think the more important issue is that a significant part of that is also about manufacturing. So to get this, the real challenge is how do we actually get transformation in a way that will give us sustainable economic benefits and sustainable social benefits. And those two are allied in all ways. Right. So we're not only concentrating, and that's a lovely message that's coming from the leadership. It's not only concentrating about just profits in your pockets, but it is about how do we socially transform the society in a sustainable way. So this challenge We all know it's significant, right? The demand, although there's been significant amount of investment and significant amount of houses and communities that have been developed, it seems like it's a moving target and a growing target at the same time. So that target continues to grow, and we need to find a way of addressing that in a way that makes an impact, A, and B, that it is sustainable, economically, socially, and otherwise. So that's a moving target. But what underpins how we deal with it is what the President talks about. How do we deal with it in a way that addresses growth, that addresses inclusion, right? And thirdly, that addresses the high levels of inequality in this country, together with unemployment and so on. So whatever we do, at the back of our mind, those three things has to be a cardinal point of how we do things and how we address it in this country through whatever programs it is. Particularly, youth and youth unemployment seems to be a serious challenge in this country. And whatever we can do to address that will be absolutely important. So, in short, what we've had over the last 20 years seems to have had minimal impact in transforming the industry. So there has to be a stake in the ground to say right now, whatever we do in future has to make a significant transformation. Okay. So what I can talk about is what is the vision of the department? The vision of the department is to create sustainable human settlements, right, that will ensure that we have equity, that we have social and economic inclusion in all respects, and that we build communities that will thrive in the future. In order to do that, I think the department has said there is obviously the run-of-the-mill business that it has been doing. But we need to do something that is different. So what are we going to do that's different? So the first thing is that over the next 10 years, there has been programs that have been identified that are hopefully going to make a major impact. What are those programs? The first one is revitalization of mining towns. There are 22 towns that we have identified where we want to make significant amount of investments in. There's a significant amount of money put aside in the budget to do so. And where are we at this stage? We're at this stage where we're looking at a range of opportunities and a range of ideas that have come up. Now, how does one convert those ideas into bankable projects? So we've had meetings with some of the big mining companies who are prepared to give land, put in money, create sustainable businesses, but it requires a combined investment from both the public and the private sector in order to make this real. The numbers are huge, right? The numbers are significantly huge, but how do we take it from an idea stage to a bankable business plan that can be implemented? And that's the first big challenge that I'm throwing into this room, is to say, how do we do that? Government certainly will play its share, will bring in the subsidies, etc., etc. What is the risk and the risk appetite of the private sector in order to make these investments real? You know, a real example of this was the REIPP. And that's brought together about 190 odd billion rands in investment. Right. It may not be representative and as inclusive as we like, and we can learn from that. But it was a model that brought together and a mechanism that brought investment into it. And this was about making bankable business plans around it. So that's the first one. The second one is something called catalytic mega projects or catalytic projects. There are about 50 of those that have been identified, including creating the new post-apartheid towns and cities. Those are large projects, you know. They are in billion rands in that denomination. Right? There are, of those 50, there are very few at this stage that we can say are sufficiently mature and are bankable. What we need, and the real challenge, is how do we take those remaining amount of projects of those 50 and bring that to bankability? And that requires all of the collective knowledge and human skill that we have to make that bankable. The third one is a sector that's been underperforming, which is the affordable housing market. And certainly government is now saying, in the affordable housing market, we need to get more involved in it. It hasn't been moving as fast as we can. It's been built on poor risk appetite. It's been built on the fact that the private sector, particularly financial services, haven't come to the party in the way that we wanted it to come to the party. And how do we change that now? So clearly, the question right now is, the department is serious about it, government is serious about it. What we need now is a new mechanism to do so. Right. And the final major project is rental accommodation projects. We all know that in South Africa, people would move in from one town to another, or one area to another, and so on. And there's a huge demand for rental accommodation. Okay. So we've now identified a number of areas, together with organizations like SHRA and so on, to invest in rental accommodation in some significant way. I think you've probably heard what the mayor of Johannesburg wants to do, but in other cities, there are similar areas around transforming the inner cities and creating affordable rental accommodation.